Can you feel the pulse-pounding, heart-stopping, utterly insane energy radiating from Toronto right now, Leafs Nation? Because if these latest rumors are true, your beloved Maple Leafs aren't just making moves this offseason. They're detonating a bombshell that could redefine everything we thought we knew about this team. Forget calm, forget quiet contemplation. The offseason is officially a white-knuckle ride, and your Toronto Maple Leafs are once again at the epicenter of the NHL storm, linked to not one, but two colossal shifts that could either propel them to glory or plunge them into unprecedented chaos. First, imagine a power forward, a true force of nature combining strength, grit, and skill, potentially paving the way for the perfect partner Auston Matthews has desperately needed. Then brace yourselves, because the wildest whispers are emanating from New York. The bread man, Artemi Panarin, on the verge of leaving the Rangers with the Leafs reportedly lurking. Matthews, Nylander, Panarin together on the ice? It's simply spine-chilling. Two monumental rumors, massive reinforcement potential, and the Leafs, as always, right in the thick of it. Let's dive deep into the whirlwind that is the Toronto Maple Leafs summer. We begin with a picture that looks like it came straight out of a high-stakes Netflix drama. The Toronto Maple Leafs, overflowing with talent, loaded with big names, yet still with that glaring gap in the roster that screams, we need to be tougher. And guess who enters this narrative, a character almost too perfect for the script? Evander Kane. Yes, that Evander Kane. The one who has been a controversial figure throughout his career, but who also delivers a physical intensity that strikes fear into the hearts of many defenders. But wait, there's more. This audacious move could also open the door to finally bring in Jack Roslavic, the dynamic forward who many believe is the missing piece for Matthews. Honestly, if this isn't a storyline worthy of a drama with twists and turns, I don't know what is. Let's break it down, because this rumor is one of those that makes you stop and think, will this work? Or will it implode the locker room? Toronto is, by design, a team that breeds skill. Auston Matthews is the face of the franchise, a generational goal scorer. Morgan really anchors the defense with his usual experience and offensive flair, and Matias Maxelli arrived to give that creative spark to the offense. But talent alone doesn't win playoff hockey. If you don't believe that, just look at what the Florida Panthers accomplished. They weren't champions because they had more stars. They were champions because they played at a relentless, high-intensity level, representing short-term battles, one shift after shift. That's the DNA Toronto desperately wants to copy. And then comes the name of Evander Kane. At 34 years old, with nearly 2 decades in the NHL, he carries a reputation as a physical player who never shies away from confrontation. He missed a significant portion of last regular season recovering from injury, but when he returned for the playoffs, he proved he's still a competitive beast. 95 hits in just 24 games. That's an average of over 3 hits per game. And it's not just the physicality. He also contributed 12 points in the postseason. So, besides being a physical force, he adds offensively. Honestly, this is exactly what Craig Berube wants. Someone who combines intensity with an offensive presence. Now, get this. The trade suggested by Heavy.com would send Max Domi, Kaye Jarnkrok, and Easton Cowan to the Vancouver Canucks. Yep, not a minor trade by any stretch. Max Domi, who's practically a citizen of the NHL world, switching teams as often as we change shows on streaming, yet bringing versatility and energy. Kaye Jarnkrok, a reliable veteran who adds depth and defensive responsibility on the third line, and Easton Cowan, who many see as a crucial part of the Leafs' future, a kid who exploded with 69 points in the OHL with the London Knights. So, it's that classic situation. You send a solid veteran, another dependable guy, and a hot prospect. Is it worth it? And that's where the second part of the story comes in, because this move isn't just about bringing in Kane. It's also about opening up cap space and finally signing Jack Roslavic. His name has been on Toronto's radar since the start of free agency, and I'm not the one saying it. It's Elliot Friedman, one of the most respected NHL insiders. According to him, the Leafs are still very much alive in this pursuit, but they're not alone. 5 or 6 other teams are also eyeing him, So freeing up money is absolutely essential. And with Domi, Jarnkrok, and Cowan potentially out the door, that money appears. Roslavic isn't a player to replace Mitch Marner. Nobody is, let's be honest. But he can bring speed, creativity, and a bit of that offensive connection Matthews has desperately needed since Marner's departure. The big question is this enough to make the Leafs take the next step? Toronto fans are tired of seeing the same old story, an exciting regular season, followed by disappointing playoffs. Berube was hired specifically to change that narrative. The coach doesn't want a pretty team. He wants a team that annoys, provokes hits, and takes hits without complaint. Back to Kane, the stat that impresses me most isn't his points, it's the sheer physicality. In 2023-24, he set a career mark with 248 hits in 77 games. That's over 3 hits per game consistently. And stats like this aren't trivial, they're a difference maker. Because when you face teams like Boston, Florida, or Carolina in the playoffs, controlling the puck isn't enough. You need to take hits and dish them back. Kane does it with gusto. And I'll tell you, having a guy like that alongside Matthews can fundamentally change the face of this team. Of course, you can't ignore the other side of the coin, the risk. Kane is a player who either fits perfectly and becomes a hero, or he becomes a locker room problem. He has a history of complicated off-ice moments and a strong personality that doesn't always mesh with tight-knit groups. So imagine the pressure in Toronto, one of the craziest hockey cities on the planet. If something goes wrong, it becomes a headline in seconds, amplified tenfold. On the other hand, you're giving up Domi, who despite not being a star, is versatile and energetic. Jarnkrok is defensively reliable, and Cowan could explode into a star in the future. So it's that classic dilemma. Do you bet on the immediate impact with Kane and Roslavic, or do you hold for the long-term project? And look, considering Matthews is at his peak and the window of opportunity doesn't last forever, I completely understand the temptation. In the end, all of this seems part of a bigger plan. A heavier, more physical Leafs team, better prepared to fight in the playoffs. And you know what? It makes sense. The team doesn't necessarily need another skilled player. It needs a guy who steps on the ice and makes the opponent think twice before making a move. Kane is that guy. And if Roslavic comes, you can balance skill and strength. Now, the burning question, will it work? Because, honestly, Toronto has tried everything. They've signed veterans, bet on youth, changed coaches, switched GMs, and the story remains frustratingly the same. Sky-high expectations, sharp decline in May. So, if this trade happens, I'll be watching every game with popcorn in hand, because this has all the makings of an absolute success or total chaos. And we love chaos, don't we? At the end of the day, this is the NHL, a league that feels more like a reality show every day, and Toronto is a perfect protagonist, full of drama, controversial decisions, and a fan base that doesn't forgive. If Kane and Roslavic really wear blue and white, get ready for a wild season. Now, tell me, would you make this trade, or do you think the Leafs are about to make another historical mistake? Comment below, because I'm curious to know if you're on the Bring Kane team or the For the Love of God, Don't Touch This team. But wait, the drama doesn't stop there. Just when you think the Maple Leafs offseason might calm down, suddenly rumor after rumor starts popping up. Yeah, welcome to the parallel universe called Toronto, where every big name available becomes a collective obsession. And now, the name in the spotlight is one that would honestly excite any fan. Artemi Panarin, the famous breadman. Yes, him. One of the most skilled players in the NHL who suddenly keeps appearing more and more in trade speculation. This isn't just smoke, there's fire behind it. Why does this rumor carry so much weight? First, because the Rangers are in a confusing phase. That team that looked ready to compete for a title is now on a roller coaster of decisions. They've already shuffled the roster, traded veterans, and are in a climate of uncertainty that leaves room for big changes. Insider David Pagnotta added fuel to the fire when he asked what's going to happen with Panarin? If everything stays the same, will they accelerate trade talks? This opens a huge door, because if New York stumbles at the start of the season, they could very well decide to speed up a rebuild. And who will be watching closely? Of course, the Leafs. Now, think about the situation in Toronto. Brad Treliving cannot afford mistakes. He took over the team with a very clear mission: turn talent into results. Because let's be honest, patience is over. The usual storyline has grown tiresome. Solid regular season, renewed hope, and then a frustrating elimination. With the Panthers turning into a playoff machine, Tampa Bay always competitive, and teams like Carolina and New Jersey raising the bar, Toronto needs something that changes the face of their offense. And that's where Panarin comes in. This guy isn't just good, he's a game changer. We're talking 870 points in 752 career games. In 2022-23, he scored an incredible 120 points with 49 goals and 71 assists, an offensive talent that very few teams could even dream of having. Oh, and before anyone questions his playoff performance, 61 points in 73 postseason games. He's not the type of player who disappears when the pressure is on. He shows up, he decides. Imagine that alongside Austin Matthews and William Nylander. That would be one of the most dangerous trios in the league, easily. But, as always, there's a problem. And here the problem has a number: $11.6 million. That's Panarin's cap hit. And honestly, fitting that into the Leafs' current space is almost an impossible puzzle without bold, truly audacious moves. We're talking about moving important pieces. Maybe Morgan, really? Hard to imagine, but not impossible. Another option could be putting together a package including names like David Kampf, Max Domi, and maybe someone like Brandon Carlo. Together, they get close to $9.5 million, but still don't cover everything. And of course, New York will want a serious return. This isn't just any player. He's elite, even at 33. So, expect first-round picks, promising prospects, maybe even someone like Easton Cowan entering the conversation. And here comes the big question: is it worth it? Because this would essentially be a luxury rental. Panarin is under contract for just this season and then becomes a UFA. So, Toronto could spend picks and young players, sacrificing depth, just to have Panarin for a few months. And if they don't win the Stanley Cup, it all goes up in smoke. This is the type of move that either makes a GM an eternal hero or the favorite target of fans and media. And in Toronto, where every decision has the potential for scandal, the pressure is even higher. Now, let's imagine the other side. Why would the Rangers do it? Because the team seems to be in a dangerous middle ground. Not bad enough to fully rebuild, but not good enough to consistently compete with Carolina, New Jersey, or even Washington. And if the season starts poorly, with losses piling up and playoff chances slipping away, it makes perfect sense to trade Panarin for assets that help in the future. We've seen this before with other teams. And let's be honest, keeping such a heavy contract for a team that won't compete is a luxury that makes no sense. But let's get to what really matters: how Panarin would change the Leafs. Close your eyes and imagine a power play with Matthews, Nylander, and Panarin. Three players who think the game at a level above everyone else. The breadman bringing insane vision, impossible passes, creating space where nobody sees it. This isn't just reinforcement, it's a change of identity. Toronto would go from a team of one or two primary weapons to a defensive nightmare for any opponent, especially in the playoffs where every detail counts. Panarin isn't just skill, he's experience, he's presence. He's the type of player who can turn a series with a single, breathtaking play. Of course, there's the other side of the coin, and it's a heavy one. Losing depth can be incredibly costly. Playoff hockey isn't just about stars, it's about third and fourth lines functioning, solid defense, and reliable goaltending. If Toronto trades away 3 or 4 pieces to bring Panarin, they risk becoming unbalanced. And again, there are no guarantees. At the end of the day, the trophy doesn't go to the team with the most talent on paper. It goes to the team that plays best on the ice as a cohesive unit. To me, this is the typical situation that defines a GM. Do you play it safe, maintain balance, try smaller reinforcements, or do you go all in? Do you bring a player who changes everything and hope it works out? And I'll tell you, after years of frustration, maybe it's time to take the risk. Matthews is at his peak. Nylander, too. The window won't stay open forever. And if Panarin really hits the market, there will be a line forming. If Toronto doesn't act fast, someone else will. So, I ask you, would you do it? Would you give up depth, prospects, and picks to get Panarin for one season? Or would you play it safe, betting that balance is worth more than explosion? I'm curious because, honestly, this rumor has all the ingredients to explode in the coming months. Keep an eye out, because if the Rangers stumble early, the story will catch fire. And when that happens, rest assured, the Toronto Maple Leaf saga will gain another chapter that we won't be able to stop watching. So, Leafs Nation, what's your take on these earth-shattering rumors? Are you ready for the grit and potential controversy of Evander Kane, paired with the offensive spark of Jack Roslavic? Or does the thought of Artemi Panarin in blue and white send shivers of pure excitement down your spine, even with the astronomical cost? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Every opinion matters in this wild ride. And if you've been captivated by this deep dive into the heart of the Leafs' dramatic offseason, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more exclusive insights and passionate hockey analysis. Your engagement fuels our fire, and we love hearing your perspectives on the game we all adore.